Welcome back, peeps!
Are you ready for another DIY van build?
Because this week we are filling in these rings for where our windows are going to be. So we need to build up from here out to here so we have a nice smooth windowsill once all these walls are complete. And these rings are a job all by themselves. And of course, we have to do it twice, but they're exactly the same, just opposites of each other. So really, it's to show you once, and once it's all done, we'll have two. Sound good? Roll the intro. Now, to be fully upfront with you guys, right off the start, I've not only tried this project once, but actually twice. I've got two panels made, both for the exact same window, and neither of them work the way I was hoping them to work. Consider it a fail. But as they always say, safety second, and the third time's the charm. So, with these ones, it was a great learning experience. Now, as much as I'd love to share that footage with you, trying to form and fit them, because on those back windows, nothing is straight. But unfortunately, we use these Transcend 2 GB storage devices to hold all of our footage on. As you see, first Dares drives, and we have a pile of them with all our footage on it. But this first Dares drives is the one with all of our episodes from 1 to like 59, and it corrupted. It dumped all the data off them. Completely gone. Nothing to be found. So it kind of throws a wrench in some of the future plans of the Dares Drives videos, but adapt and overcome seems to be a motto of our Dares Drives van build. So with these first two, these were a great learning curve, finding the curves of the windows. We did actually get it to fit pretty good up against that window, but because we made the frames out of 2x4, it's just not flexible enough anymore to get it to sit against the wall properly. But we need to scrap these and start from scratch. We're gonna start with our corrugated plastic and start stenciling out that window once again. So we're gonna start by cutting ourselves a little 4" by 4" square. Then we're going to take that square and slowly start to find the curvature of that corner. First one's just going to be rough, just get you into the right size area. And then you cut out that little line you made from corner to corner and you bring it back in the van. See, and now that we cut it out, it's that much closer to having what that corner fit is. But also, now that it's cut down, it fits in behind there. So we can now go in and get the perfect line to have the shape of said corner. Of course, we cut it out again. Fit it in again. And then you can see, we now have that perfect curve for this part of the window. So we're just going to stick that there. And now do that 3 more times, and just like that, we have all 4 corners to the perfect shape of that window. And trust me when I say, not one of those corners is the same angle. This window has so many different curves and bends that you don't really notice, but building these frames is going to prove to be a challenge. So now next, we got to join our corners so that we have a full frame all the way around, what we'll call a window ring. Now we need 4 1-inch wide beams to come across and join. Again, just cutting it out of our corrugated plastic until we have something that looks a little like this. giving us our full outline and inside diameter of our window rings. So now we're just gonna peel it off the window and bring it to the garage. And now we're left with something like this that stencils out our ring that we just have to cut out our corners real quick. So we're just gonna measure 1 inch from the edge all the way around, draw it out with our pencil, and then cut it with our knife, and we end up with a perfect circle all the way around. Then we're gonna lay it down on top of our 3/4 inch MDF, which we're actually gonna make the ring out of, and just trace it all out. And now we're ready to start cutting. First part of our ring complete. Now we just gotta cut out the inside. Drill our hole and cut it out. Tra-la-la. That is our first window ring. Yeah. Alright, so here we go. The official test fit. Yeah, pretty sure that's up. Let's see what happens. You guys get to experience a pass or fail together. And jury says that's a pass. What? Yes. Our first window ring fits like a glove. It only gets easier from here, because now we don't need to stencil or cut out with a jigsaw anymore. Because this ring is actually going to be our template moving forward. No more using this thing that we made here. Oh, and before we get too far into this, oh shoot, you're super dusty and filthy again. There we go. And before we get too far into this, I'd like to note that I did label this number 1 as our first piece cut out, because as we use this as our stencil and cut out the other 7, we're going to use this same piece over and over and over again as our stencil. Because if we start cutting them out and just using the next one that we cut as the next stencil, you could either end up being bigger or smaller, but you will not end up being the full size throughout all 8 pieces. You got to use the same stencil for every piece, or else you're gonna end up with issues at the end of it all. And trust me, with the amount of cutting we're doing, we need 8 of these in total to be able to do both windows. Is with these rings, we're gonna pretty much get exactly 4 rings out of a 4x8 sheet of MDF. The last thing you wanna do is have to do it again. So the plan now that we know it all fits is we're gonna make multiple rings like these and stack them on top of each other until they come out to the same height as our struts, where our 3/8 wall is gonna come down, giving us a smooth window ledge. Now to cut this out the rest of the way, instead of tracing it and all that kind of stuff like we were doing on the first ring, now we take our router tool and we go into our little router toolkit, and we're gonna grab our flush trim 1 inch. And on the end of this flush tool, you'll see it has a little ball bearing. What that's gonna do is as we trim our piece, it's gonna trim the top, and it has a ball bearing that's gonna just follow all the way around our stencil. And we'll be able to cut all the rest of our rings out without having to mark anything on the wood itself. So once we have our ring in place, I'm just gonna tack it down. And typically, we'd use our clamps like this and just clamp it down to our piece all the way around so it doesn't move and go. But when we're using this router to go along here and cut that out, we don't want to have to stop every time we get to a clamp and either move clamps or whatever else. We're gonna grab our nail gun and we're just gonna tack it down in a couple spots to hold it in place, which will then be easily removable once we cut the piece out. You see, we flipped the board over. We got our template or stencil piece on the bottom now. We're gonna go in with our rubber bit, start following our line, and just go around the corner and keep following it all the way around. That didn't work. Whoa, Nelly. What the hell? What in the Not quite as smooth as I thought it would be. Is it the bit? Or is it me being an amateur? I don't know that answer. But, when I clear the dust away, we did end up with a pretty perfect cut. So, although it sounds weird, it did actually work. Interesting. Sorry guys, as I've said before, this is my first time too. But hey, that's the fun of sharing this. Because I get to share the good and the bad. What I knew and what I learned all at the same time. Because once again, that did work. And there we go. The outside edge is all cut. And although it looked like it was fighting me a bit, because it was, it turned out super, super clean, which is exactly what we were hoping for. So now, we gotta cut this inner edge out the exact same way pretty much. And just like that, we now have 2 rings. And oh my goodness, the amount of sawdust this creates is unflippin' believable. What a mess. But 6 more to go and no more need for the camera. So I'm just gonna get to work here. And I will confirm off camera, it's going pretty smooth, but I am back to using the jigsaw. Just because it seems to be a lot cleaner dust-wise, as well as I'm just better at using the jigsaw on this. I'm getting a lot cleaner cuts. And of course you died, but between chasing these batteries and chasing those camera batteries, I feel like my life revolves around batteries. But anyways, there's another ring cut. And I'm telling you, whether it's based on experience or just the fact of the tool, this is way easier, way faster. And again, the dust that comes off the router is insane fine and just creates a ton, where the jigsaw just doesn't seem to create as much of that mess. So, yeah. With that being said, we now have enough pieces to do our first window frame ring. So we have 4 of them that we're going to stack on top of each other. So you got number 1, number 2. Figure out which way it goes. Number 3. And number 4. Once we figure it out here, there we go. And that, my friends, is what our window ring is going to look like. Now I'm just going to tape it for now, so we can just set it in the window and see what it looks like. I will say though, judging by the look of it, these came together better than I could have ever thought. And the good news on this go around is this time, you get to see it in the daylight instead of nighttime. So we'll just pop it in place. And the good news is this time you get to see it in the daylight instead of night. So we're just gonna pop it into place here. Obviously the tape's not doing a perfect job to hold it together, but get us close enough to where we want to be. And you'll see, that's perfect. Let's assemble this ring so it's all together solid. We need to get ready to glue it. So I'm just going to take one piece at a time, and we're going to use our LePage wood glue to bring it all together. So I'm going to flip this one over, shove it over so hopefully everything gets on camera. We're going to put a bunch of glue on here. I'm going to do the same on this one. And then we're going to place them together. And we don't have to worry about glue mess on this because honestly, you have to sand these all down and make them look nice and clean for the final install anyways. We clamp them all together. And there we go. Now we let it sit for 24 hours. So if this video didn't get out on Sunday, now you know why. We got 20 hours worth of cutting, another 24 hours worth of drawing, times 2 of course, because this is just one ring that we've done so far. The good news is as that dries, I can start cutting our other window rings. Take positives where you can get them, why not? All right, our piece is now dry and ready to be unclamped. And there's one thing I should probably share with you because while we were off air, I read our glue bottle that we use to glue our piece of wood together, and it doesn't need to be drying for 24 hours. It's actually 25 minutes. So ours is definitely really dry and definitely gonna speed up the process for the second set of rings that we glue together. But when we get all the clamps off of here, we now have one solid ring that's gonna fit inside of that window well for us. And then we're just gonna have to shave it down and caress it to make it fit properly. So, now that it is glued together, let's go make sure it still fits in the van. All right. And the jury says, once we figure out which direction it goes, that ain't right. I think you go that way. Yeah. And jury says we fit like an absolute glove. What? Look at that. It stays in all by itself. I don't even have to hold it. Oh my goodness. So now comes the fun part of figuring out where we need to shave this and trim this so it's all going to line up properly. And as mentioned before, there does not seem to be a straight spot on this van at all. So let's get that other ring to fit, which is this one here that is all made now. And it's gonna fit like, oh yeah, and guess what? It's dark out again, of course. But our ring once again fits like a glove. Don't even have to hold it in. So although everything seems to be taking longer than we initially anticipate every single time, they're consistent as they keep looking absolutely perfect. And we now have one ring on the passenger side and one ring on the driver's side. Now of course they do still need to be cleaned up and tidied up, but that's gonna happen once we come in and fit it. So as you'll see at the top, it's actually one shy up there. And as you come over here, it actually becomes like 1.5. We're gonna have to cut back off. But on the bottom side, of course, it actually almost comes up short, where we might actually have to shim a little bit to make all of our walls come together and have a nice clean seam on our window wells. But we're gonna get into all those details later. because unfortunately for all of us, you will see it is now 3:59 a.m. on August 25th. And this video needs to be scheduled to go out at 8 a.m. August 25th. So as you can see, the deadline's getting pretty tight right now. And we still need to upload it to YouTube, write a description, pull out tags to our products, and all those kind of things down below. So we're gonna have to end this video. And I am absolutely spent. This project was huge, huge, huge in the time category. But the window rings are complete, and next week we'll fit them into the wall and actually have a finished trimmed product for you to see. So make sure, if you haven't done it already, hit that subscribe button. No pressure, of course, you do you, but you don't want to miss out on this finished product. Of course, please hit that like button. If you have subscribed, thank you, thank you, thank you. And leave me a comment below. Would you prefer that I wait on this video and give you the full finished one, or so that we can have a video on this week? Is this acceptable? Tell me what your thoughts are. So, we will see you on the next video. Perfect.
It's sweeping it up the easy way. If I do it really fast, looks like there's none left. But if I go slow, look at how much left there is.
Perfect. Cheap labor, what can I say? See you on the next one.